continent. And now you speak about Paul Kagame, who's currently worshipped as an example of a great African leader doing great things for Africa. Is that not the case?
That is absolutely the case. Kagame is actually one of Africa's biggest problems, because Congo is the biggest dissettlement of Africa that causes Africa never to unite. And Kagame is the reason why we've got the Congolese struggle.
The DRC, my basic understanding is that it's the wealthiest country
in Africa,
on the continent, from a
in the
mineral
world
perspective.
In the world, yeah.
It's the wealthiest country in the world from a natural resources perspective.
100%.
And you're saying Paul Kagame has a part to play in that?
Yeah, people don't understand that we always hear about the Rwandan genocide. The Rwandan genocide was started by Paul Kagame. And he started the Rwandan genocide because he wanted to take power by force in a country that would have never elected him into power, because he came from the minority Tutsis who used to be supported by the colonizer and used to be the administrators on behalf of the colonizer. So for Paul Kagame to come back as a Tutsi to come and take power in Rwanda, he needed to do something. And what he did is he started the genocide. He started the genocide by bringing down a plane that had two presidents, Hutu presidents, the Burundian president and the Rwandan president. Paul Kagame and his RFP forces shot down the plane when it was landing back in Rwanda from actually an AU meeting. And when that plane came down, then it inflamed the Hutu people who knew that they were RFP fighters who were trying to take power by force. And so they began to fight against Tutsi people who they felt wanted to come and take over power. While they were doing that, Paul Kagame himself sent his forces to murder his own Tutsi people on a whole-scale level to make it look like a genocide, so that he could then have his forces come into Rwanda and take over power militarily under the guise of stopping a genocide against Tutsis.
These are all things that are factual.
Well documented.
Jeez.
It is actually something that the International Court of Justice wanted to persecute him for, and then the Americans covered up for him and the French covered up for him so that it wouldn't come out. But Paul Kagame came into power by murdering his own people. Then when he did that, he then took Laurent Kabila, who was now living in Rwanda, to go and take over power from Mobutu Sese Seko.
These are the leaders in the DRC.
This was in the DRC. And the arrangement that he had with Mobutu is, once you're in power, you need to bring some of my own people into your system. And the reason why he wanted to bring his own people into the system is that the Tutsis see themselves as a superior people to Bantus. And so they want to reinstitute something called the Mapororo Tutsi Empire that is going to rule over Central Africa and the Great Lakes. Because if you look where they came from in Uganda, Museveni is Tutsi. And he is the one who trained, together with people like Paul Kagame, in Tanzania, together with our liberation fighters. And when they came from those liberation camps, then Museveni went and took power from Obote, and then he put people like Kagame and the Hutus and the Tutsis into his army and intelligence. They then started murdering non-Tutsis who wanted power in Uganda, because they were majorities. And that's how Museveni becomes the president of Uganda as a Tutsi, and then he begins to assist Kagame together with the Europeans, the Americans, to then create a force that is going to take power in Rwanda. And then they must take power in Rwanda, instill a Tutsi in Burundi, and instill a Tutsi in Congo. So when they then succeeded in getting what do you call him? Kabila into power, Kabila refused to put Tutsis into his government. And when he refused, then Kagame and Museveni then sent their armies and rebels into Congo with an intention to remove Kabila. Kabila then ran to SADC. And that time SADC had an organ, or the military institution was called the organ, which was being headed by Mugabe. And he said, listen, they want to overthrow me. And he gave them the reasons why they want to overthrow. Mugabe sent a fact-finding mission that it consisted of Zambians, Namibians, Angolans, South Africans, and everybody from SADC region. And he realized that this was actually a problem. So they went to Uganda, they went to Rwanda, they couldn't find Museveni when they went to Uganda, they couldn't find Kagame when they went to Rwanda, but they got information that there was going to be an overthrow of Kabila, and then the UN was going to be forced to actually come up with a policy that says Congo must be broken down into 5 countries.
Jeez.
The 5 countries would then be easier to loot for the West through Uganda, Rwanda, and their own people that they would have placed within the Congolese system. Then Zambia and Zimbabwe came up with a counter proposal, but they also sent their armies of the Namibians and the Angolans to go and stop Kagame from overthrowing Kabila. They were able to repel Kagame and Museveni's troops. And so Kabila was not overthrown because of that. For that reason, and us taking land in exactly the same time, the Western world came together and imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe. Because they said that this military that was used in Mozambique, that also participated in Angola, and now is coming to Congo, is becoming a hindrance to imperialism. So we need to break the power of the Zimbabwean military. Let's put them under sanctions. So that's what caused the sanctions. So when that happened, it was fortunate that enough war had been undertaken by the Zimbabweans, the Namibians, and the Angolans for there to be people within the Kagame and the rebel movements who agreed to the Sun City Accord. And that's why you had peace in Congo and the Sun City Accord that was then brokered by Thabo Mbeki. But remember, when Zimbabwe...
Broken by Thabo Mbeki? Brokered, okay.
Yeah. But remember, Thabo Mbeki was able to come and assist in negotiations. But Nelson Mandela had refused to go to Congo and assist Kabila on instruction of the Americans. The Americans said, you don't go there. But there is allegations that while all this fighting was happening, executive outcomes had people assisting Kagame and Museveni and the rebel movements to try and overthrow Kabila. So Kagame was being assisted. Museveni was being assisted by ex-SADF forces who are now calling themselves the mercenaries or the executive outcomes. And I think you've seen the video of Saima that talks about how black people were infected with HIV and how Saima went through SADC to kill certain people to protect apartheid, if you remember. There's a video on Saima and how they infected people in South Africa and Southern Africa with HIV. The same people are these that are called executive outcomes, are the same boers that then form these private security companies that you see here that are actually the biggest threat to South Africa at this particular moment. They are the same people that went to destabilize Congo and continue to destabilize Congo and continue to be advisors and continue to be supplying weapons and continue to be a destabilizing force in Congo. Which is why some of us are very skeptical. Why is the South African military in Congo not actually stopping the war in Congo, but peacekeeping and protecting companies like Glencoe and the Western companies?